D23, the ultimate Disney fan event, is right around the corner, and theme park fans are eagerly anticipating big news to come out of the event. Disney is set to share updates and announcements for its various park projects around the world, and there could even be some surprises in store. Hello everyone, it's Ashley and welcome to Theme Park Decoder. Since D23 is just days away, I thought it'd be a perfect time to share expectations and predictions about the updates that Disney might share at this year's event. Now on Saturday, August 15th, Disney will hold the Disney Experiences Showcase. This is the presentation that's focused on Disney's theme parks, and this is where a majority of the news and announcements will be shared. So in this video, I'm going to break down what we can likely expect to be announced at this year's event. Now, I'll have more theme park coverage in the weeks and months ahead, so if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll know when a new video is posted. So let's dive into the expectations and predictions for this year's D23. Now, going into this event, I fully expect Disney to share updates about park projects that were announced back in 2024, many of which are already underway at the parks. I'm talking about things like the Cars area over at Magic Kingdom, as well as Villains Land over in Magic Kingdom, and also the Monsters Inc. themed land at Disney's Hollywood Studios. For many of those projects, we got some concept art, we got a few details, but there's still so much that we don't know about those projects. So I think going into this event, it is going to be mostly giving us more details about those projects, fleshing out the storylines, maybe even share an update about, what some of the attractions are or some of the land names and things like that. But I don't expect a ton of big details or big announcements to be made at this year's event. I feel like many of those were shared in 2024. But again, there's always room for some surprises. So we're going to start with Disney World because I think Disney World has the most projects that are currently underway. And also I think Disney World is going to take up a majority of the showcase in terms of the announcements and updates. So we're going to start with Disney's Animal Kingdom with Tropical Americas. This is the new theme land that's taking over the former site of Dinoland USA. And we do know that it's going to have an Encanto attraction as well as an Indiana Jones attraction. And we got some concept art for both of those things, but we still don't have a ton of details about those specific attractions. So I do think at this year's event, Disney is going to share more details about the Encanto attraction. So I do think Disney is going to share exactly what this ride is and show us maybe even the ride vehicle and how exactly we're going to move through the casita, the house from Encanto. And we might even get a new piece of concept art that shows a new scene from inside the ride. And then I do think we're also going to learn more about the other attraction that is in this land, the Indiana Jones attraction. I'm really excited to know more about this one because Disney previously announced that the storyline for this attraction was going to be unique to Disney's Animal Kingdom. So it wasn't going to be a copy and paste of a Indiana Jones attraction from other Disney parks. It's going to be a new original storyline. So I want to know exactly what that's going to be. I do think Disney's probably going to share that. I also think as Disney's sharing more about the storyline, they're also going to share how it incorporates into the Tropical Americas theme as well as the overall theme of Disney's Animal Kingdom. And I do think we're going to get some more concept art for this attraction. And then looking broadly at Tropical Americas, I do think Disney's going to share some updated concept art of the land that gives us a better, more detailed look at the entire land because we've been kind of looking at the same concept art since this project was announced. So I do think we might get some new concept art there. And then Disney might also share an updated opening timeline. We knew that this land was set to open in 2027. So when exactly in 2027 is that going to be? Is it going to be sooner than they previously expected or maybe later than they previously expected? Could this land open in phases? That's been something that's been circulating recently. We'll have to wait and see, but I do think we might get an updated opening timeline on that. All right, we're going to switch gears and go over to Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is where Monsters Inc. or Monstropolis is currently under construction. Now, we already got quite a few details about this land, and Disney released several pieces of concept art, and the concept art caused a lot of confusion because at the time when it was released, Disney hadn't said where exactly in Hollywood Studios this land was going to be, and so it caused a lot of people to speculate whether or not it was going to take over the animation courtyard or if it was going to take over the Muppets Courtyard area. Of course, we now know that it's taking over Muppets Courtyard because Muppet Courtyard's closed and the construction is already underway for Monsters Inc. But I do think we're going to learn more about the big attraction in this land, the door coaster that Disney had already, previously announced. And we got some concept art on that, but I do think we might even get maybe a name for the attraction. Disney could, officially release the name of the attraction, maybe even give us an updated look at the ride system. I know a lot of people are really curious about this ride system, how it's going to work, how we're going to move through the attraction when we're on the ride. And also Disney might share some new concept art showing a new scene or two within the attraction itself. I think the big question mark that a lot of people have is what's going in the Glob Theater. This is shown on the concept art, and this particular attraction is what's replacing Muppet Vision 3D. It's going in the same place. Many people are wondering, is it going to be a similar attraction to Muppet Vision 3D? Is it going to be a completely different sort of show or theatrical kind of experience? We don't know. And so I think Disney is going to officially announce what that attraction is going to be. They have said that this attraction is going to have some upgraded tech. Don't know what that means, because the theater where Muppet Vision 3D was had some special effects tech already built into it. We have wind and water effects, and even effects that will come from the ceiling. So will this new attraction use more of that, or is it going to update on that already, established tech that's in that theater, or is it going to be something completely different? Is it going to involve a screen? Who knows? So I do think that Disney is going to share what exactly that attraction is going to be. I do think we're going to get some details about Harryhausen's, one of the dining experiences that's coming to Monstropolis. I think the big thing people want to know is probably what exactly this dining experience is going to be. Is it going to be like a character dining experience? Is it going to be something new and completely innovative? What exactly might be on the menu? What theming will we see inside through this particular thing? And I do think we're going to maybe get some concept art showing the inside of this restaurant, which would be great to kind of paint a better picture of what exactly this dining experience is going to be. I also hope that Disney shares some updated concept art of the entire land that gives, better idea of the different things we'll see in the land, like the monster characters, characters in the windows of the buildings, and some other things that they have already previously announced. And then maybe we might even get an opening timeline for this, because construction is really progressing on this land. I was just at Disney's Hollywood Studios like a week or so ago, and you can kind of see a little bit over the construction walls, but it is looking really, really good. It's really starting to progress. You can start seeing lots of the buildings and other things really take shape into Monstropolis. And so I'm hoping that maybe because construction is going really well and it's progressing pretty well, that we might have a better idea of when it's going to open, and Disney will be able to share that. Right now we're going to move on to Magic Kingdom, because this park is undergoing a massive expansion, and the projects that are currently in place for this park are completely reshaping the park as we know it. And so, a lot of eyes are on these projects. One of the big projects is the Cars themed land called Piston Peak. It's right over there between Liberty Square, Frontierland. It's what replaced Tom Sawyer Island and Rivers of America. Disney gave us some concept art of this area. It's going to have a national park kind of look to it. That's the theming that Disney is going for here. And I actually really like that theming. But a lot of people are probably really, really curious about the attractions in this particular area, specifically the off-road rally race that Disney has announced. And, we got some concept art for it, but we don't have a ton of details. So I do think Disney is going to reveal how exactly this ride is going to work, what it's going to look like. We might even get some new concept art of the actual ride, like various scenes along the way. So it gives us a better idea of what we'll see on this attraction. And then we might even get a name reveal for this attraction. Not completely sold that we will, but it's a possibility. And then I do think Disney is going to reveal what the second attraction in this land is going to be. They had announced previously that it was going to be, a family-friendly style ride, but they didn't give any details beyond that. So I do think Disney will reveal what it is. It's likely just based on the concept art. It's likely a flat ride of some kind, something with a small footprint, because it doesn't seem like it's going to take up a ton of space. But I do think Disney is going to reveal exactly what that is. Now for the other big project in Magic Kingdom, Villains Land. And this is a land a lot of fans have been asking for, and the fact that Disney actually gave fans a Villains Land is really exciting. But there's so much we still don't know about Villains Land. Disney released the initial concept art, which was cool but vague. But they haven't really given us a ton of details about it. And then there were these reports that came out months ago that Disney had completely scrapped the plans that they initially had for Villains Land and were going in a completely different direction, and it led to even more speculation. And the big problem was that no one knew what to believe because we didn't have any details about what the initial plans were for Villains Land. So I do hope and I do think that Disney is going to clarify that at this year's event. They're going to tell us exactly what is planned for Villains Land in terms of the 2 attractions that are going to be in this land and the overall, theme and storytelling for this land. And I do think we're also going to learn about the main attraction, the big attraction in this land. Now, the concept art seems to suggest it's something related to Maleficent, based, again, solely on the concept art. But who knows? Now, with Disney sharing details about Villains Land, I do think we might even learn what the actual name of this land is going to be. It might just be Villains Land, which would kind of go along with the current naming convention that Disney has at Magic Kingdom with the Adventureland and Fantasyland and Tomorrowland, and then you have Villains Land. But, they could go in a completely different direction and have a completely different kind of name for this area. I also think we might get some new concept art for Villains Land, of the land itself, and maybe even concept art for one or both of the attractions. I'm not expecting any other big reveals to come out of Villains Land at the event, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, and sticking with Magic Kingdom, there's another project that's currently underway at the park, and that's the refurbishment of Carousel of Progress. This ride is currently closed. It's being updated with new scenes, and those new scenes will take us into new decades, like the 60s, the 80s, late 1999 into the 2000s, and then some far-off future. Disney released concept art for this far-off future scene, but we haven't had concept art for the other decades. So if Disney does make any sort of mention of this project at the D23 showcase, I think they might reveal concept art for those other decades. And then we might even get maybe an updated look at the Walt Disney animatronic that's supposed to be part of this attraction, because the first scene of this attraction is going to be updated with Walt in his office. So we might even get an updated look at that. So switching over to Disneyland, Disney California Adventure, people are still questioning whether or not Disney California Adventure is getting an Avatar experience land attraction. All signs seem to still point to yes, because Disney did their recent earnings report, and they shared a graphic in there that highlighted some of their upcoming attractions at their various parks, and Avatar experience was still listed for Disneyland, Disney California Adventure. So yes, I guess we're still getting that. But, nobody really knows what that is exactly. So I think at this D23, Disney is going to share exactly what this is. Is it just an experience? Is it a land? Is it just an attraction? Like, what exactly is this going to be? Maybe share some new details and some new concept art. I also think Disney's going to share details about the upcoming Coco attraction, exactly what this attraction is in terms of the story and what people are going to see. And so we might also get some new concept art showing scenes inside the ride. And then the big one is Adventures Campus over at Disney's California Adventure. There's 2 attractions on the way for this land as part of this big expansion, and I do think Disney's going to share new details about those. We're very likely going to get details about Avengers Infinity Defense, so new details about this ride, as well as some new concept art, exactly what people will be experiencing when they're on this ride. And then also new details about the Stark Flight Lab, similar to, Infinity Defense. We'll get more details and maybe even a first look at the attraction. We also could get an opening timeline for these attractions because they should be pretty far along to the point where Disney could say at least an opening timeline or at least an opening date for them. And, who knows if Disney's going to try to, have an opening date that ties in with the arrival of Avengers Doomsday. If they do have some kind of tie-in with a Doomsday, which is later this year, it might be an arrival of a character at the land. So we might see Doctor Doom show up as a character for this land, and they might announce that. Now, moving on to the international parks, I don't think we're going to get a ton of updates and announcements or details about these parks. But if we do, I think we might learn more about the Lion King attraction that's coming to Disney Adventure World over at Disneyland Paris. This is an attraction that was previously announced, and Disney has released concept art and some details about it. But I do think we're going to get more details about the themed area as well as the attraction, maybe even some new concept art of the ride. And Disney had previously mentioned that this attraction was going to feature all sorts of different animatronics. It'd be really cool if they showed at least one or a few of these animatronics, either if it's just in the early stages of, Imagineers working on them and programming them. I think it'd be really cool to see. I also think we're going to learn more about the Abu Dhabi theme park. Disney recently said that they were still committed to this project because I know there was a big question mark around this project, just, considering various things that are happening in the world. And so Disney is still very much part of this project. So I don't think we're going to get a ton of details about it just because it's still in the early stages of development, but we might get some more new concept art for it as Disney sort of lays out what the storytelling ideas are for this park. I think any sort of update would be better than nothing at all. All right, switching to Disney Cruise Line, which is under the Disney Experiences umbrella. A lot of people forget that. Mostly people just think about the theme parks, but the cruise line is a huge part of this particular division. And Disney has been expanding its cruise line rapidly. We had 2 ships recently debut, one at the end of last year and one at the beginning of this year. And there's another one set to debut next year. The Disney Believe is the next ship to come out. And Disney has already said that they are going to do a reveal of the ship in October. So I'm not expecting a ton of details about that ship at D23. We might get maybe a new piece of concept art of the ship, maybe showing like the layout. Or they might even reveal one interesting thing about the ship, but I'm not expecting a full reveal because, like I said, Disney Cruise Line already said that they're going to do a reveal in October. What we might get in terms of the cruise line, because again, they are expanding and more ships are on the way, we might learn more about the new fleet of the new class of smaller ships that Disney had previously announced, which I know people are kind of curious about because they're smaller than the Wish class of ships, but they're bigger than the Magic class of ships, if I remember correctly. So we might see what exactly the layout for those ships are going to be, maybe some concept art for that, just kind of what Disney has plans for these smaller ships. Now, I'm sharing my expectations and predictions. I could be completely wrong with most or all of what I am talking about in this video, because you never know what Disney is going to reveal. They have always had surprises up their sleeve, and I definitely think they're going to have surprises in store for us this year. And in fact, I'm going to predict that there are going to be at least 2 big surprises revealed at D23 this year. I think one's going to be for Disney World, something that, is not really on people's radar, or maybe it's on some people's radar, but people weren't expecting it to happen. And then I think there might be a surprise for Disneyland. So there you have it. Those are my expectations / predictions for what Disney might announce at D23 this year. I do think it's going to be a very interesting year, an exciting year for theme park fans. I do think we're going to get a ton of new details about the projects that are already underway. And a lot of people should be really excited about that because these are projects that are currently under construction. These are projects that are beyond the blue sky, right? These are actual projects that are happening. And I think that's really exciting because, I think far too often Disney has in the past announced a ton of projects and then had to cancel a bunch of projects. And they got people really excited about certain things, and then those projects didn't come to fruition. So the fact that we are in a state where A lot of these projects that Disney has announced are actually happening. They're being constructed. It's not just concept art at this point. Is really, really exciting. So I do think most of what we're going to learn about is just more details about all the really cool things, attractions, experiences, and lands that we can expect at the Disney theme parks in the coming years. Now, I want to know what you think Disney is going to announce. Share your own expectations or predictions in the comments. I'm really curious to know what other people are thinking about as we head into D23. Also, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll have even more theme park updates, news, and discussion here on the channel, and you won't want to miss it.